Good evening, viewers. It's another edition of One-on-One with OtunbaHOO on Heritage Television UK. As usual, I bring guests that are very frank, people that will talk about, German call it actual, ongoing, current issues, current matters, things that are very concerning, that they believe it not only affects them as an individual, but affects our children and subsequently our children's children. I'm into politics, and I do a lot of politics talk on television and radio. Tonight I have two guests. They are from two different areas of occupation. One is a broadcaster. She's been in the business for a while. Some people, or some of you, must have seen her many times over on other television channels. And I also have a doctor who knows exactly what it is to be a doctor, and he's also, but he spends a substantial part of his time on politics, and I can testify to that because I know him very well. Let me start by asking my guest to introduce himself. I want to start with the lady first. Rose Peter. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Who are you?
It's so good to be here. My name is Rose Peter Graham, like you said. I'm a broadcaster, I'm a political and social commentator, I'm a blogger, and I'm out there. I'm doing a lot of things. I'm doing events, I'm emceeing, but I'm passionate about, you know, a greater Nigeria.
And saying that, I remember very well shortly before the election of 2015. I remember the amount of time you took to go out there to campaign for a particular party, carrying your 7-month-old baby, risking the people pushing each other and all that kind of thing. Well, we're going to go to that in a minute. Now, Dr. Ideawor, can you tell us who you are, what do you do?
Well, I'm Philip Ideawor. I'm a medical doctor, and that is what I do for a living. But also, I'm very much involved in politics. I've been a political activist for quite a bit of time, both in Nigeria and now in the UK. And I am the chairman of the All Progressives Congress, APC UK chapter. So that is basically what I do.
Also, to chip in a little bit about who you are, I also remember very well that you come on one or two times on a program I also anchor on one of the national TV. That's many years back also. And also remember very well the amount of passion you put into campaigning for the present party, the ruling party. Now, let me start with you. If I ask you to look at the camera and then say to the whole world, what is your present assessment of the political party we have now, the APC? How will you tell your our viewers, your assessment?
I think that, All Progressives Congress, as we all know, was a coming together of different political forces. But when you look at the setup of the party or the color of the party, you will have to say that APC, as a political party in Nigeria, was and is very different from the now opposition party, the then ruling party, that was the People's Democratic Party. You could define APC or place APC, as a social democratic welfarist party looking at the constitution and the manifesto. And therefore, in terms of our campaign at the time, we took a very deep or close look at the anti-people policies that the ultra-right, ultra-capitalist PDP had unleashed on the people of Nigeria. Now, it was not about, for them, it was about the development of the people, okay? They appeared, and it was clear that they were more concerned about enriching themselves and themselves alone. It was a continuation, more or less, of the internal colonialists that has held Nigeria down almost since the time of independence. That is what that party represented. And I think that APC came as a response to the people's desire to see a complete break from the past and for a new, for the beginning of a new Nigeria. So a lot of us who participated in the campaign had that passion in our hearts. So the anti-corruption aspect of our campaign was very huge. The pro-people aspect, aspect of the campaign was also very huge. I.e., the provision, the promise to provide those things, or if you like, those aspects of a government's provisions that should make life easier for the people. Feeding of school children, okay? Looking after those who are old and ensuring that the unemployed got a certain amount of money at every time until they got a job. The focus on youth development and youth empowerment. These were all part and parcel. And then the promise to diversify the Nigerian economy from a mono-based economy away from oil and a return to agriculture as a big part of Nigeria's foreign earner. Okay, these were all part and parcel of what the campaign was all about. And of course, we know that at the time we were campaigning, insecurity was a big aspect of the average Nigerian life. Boko Haram insurgency in the northeast, and they had actually not just, they didn't confine themselves to just the northeast. They could come into Abuja, the federal capital. They could go to other parts of the north and take their pick and hit and go away. And at that point in time, the possibility of them moving down south was also becoming very huge. So you look at the entire picture. Nigeria as a country, as at 2014 going into 2015, was a country sitting on the precipice. And I think that was why the campaign was so emotionally intense and so driven by many of us who believe that Nigeria has the potential to become a country that is good for all her citizens. You know, so I think that in summary, that was the vision, and that is the vision. I think that remains the vision. Yes, we are now in government. It's a difference.
Yes.
I'm sure we'll talk about that.
Yeah, well, I still want to ask you, the catalog of promises, the catalog of the wishes, administration, I mean, wishes, dreams, aspirations of the people.
Yeah.
And for them to say, here we go, we're now going to have alternative to a party that probably that has not delivered, and people disenchanted, they become weary and say, how long is it going to go on? And now come for a party that fits the profile. You just say to our viewers. But then I've had many times people still saying, were they really prepared? Was this party in power? Were they really prepared? Isn't they the same Nigerian that has always been in political arena, who are wrestlers and all that kind of thing? What is going on? I'll come back to that in a minute, but let me go to Lady Rose. You also, like I said in my intro, that for a lot of reasons, could it be because of the 7-month-old child you have you've done so much that you want to secure a better future for him and for yourself and for people who are closer to you and for all Nigerians?
Okay, so I'm really going to get emotional now if you try to bring my baby into
No, because I was one of the people that saw you do.
I know you were there. You were there. I grew up in Nigeria.
Okay.
The first 3 decades of my life, I was in Nigeria. I grew up in the barracks. My father was a police officer, and it wasn't easy. Primary school was terrible. I mean, when it rains, we are drenched. Wow. Secondary school was something else, but I had to fight, and I got myself into the University of Lagos. And then I see all those things happening. I contested while I was in school, and when I saw the way how corrupt my fellow students are during the election, while I was trying to get into also, you know, University of Lagos Student Union government, I just felt to myself, I have lost hope in this country. But there should be hope. We shouldn't all give up. Because if the youths are giving up, then what is left for the country? So that is why I have always say on social media and whatever forum I find myself about a change, about a better Nigeria, about a Nigeria that will work. And so with the government of Goodluck Jonathan, most of us were not happy with what we noticed and with what this man was doing, because it was full glare corruption, full glare wastage. And Nigerians want away from that. And somehow, someway, we don't understand what happens when someone is elected into office. It's like there's a complete detachment from the populace. So he was up there, those who were hailing him were telling him something completely different, obviously, because he wasn't really connecting with the people, because the people weren't relating to him. So then all Nigerians, at least for once, and not once, there are times we come together and speak with one voice, but during that time, the voice was overwhelming. We wanted a change. Even President Obama in the United States could feel it.
Joining the chorus.
He joined in it, and you heard before the election, you heard what he said to Nigerians, you know, about our future being in our hands. And I guess this is what the APC capitalized upon, and they felt, yes, we are ready. Even when the Goodluck Jonathan did the research, they realized, his team, when they did the research, they realized that it's like, well, yes, we're going to lose it. But sadly, President Buhari, the APC, they rode on the hope of the people. They were cheering them all along. And then you got there. You're now worse than the people who were there. There is something I really cannot place my fingers on that I do not
when
understand.
You say they got worse, what do you have an example of where
basically today, how much were we buying fuel under Jonathan? And Jonathan, you know him, he tries to please people, at least he tries to make an effort. But today we're buying fuel at 150, even way more than that. But then during Jonathan, we're buying at 90 something, 95 naira. I mean, I was back home then when we were buying it for that much. Before it rose that far, I constantly speak to people. My father sent me a text today. A friend of mine told me, I don't have credit on my phone. Send me credit. And I called my dad. I said, please send me Airtel so I can send to my friend. I was just talking to my dad on my way here. He paid 135 naira to send me a text. Things are bad. Face it. We cannot buy Gary anymore. You see, when they say a government is good, is doing this, is doing that, if the common man on the street is not feeling the impact of that government, that is how I access the government. I call people back home and they tell me that they meet elderly men on the street, telling them, please, my son, can you give me 100 naira? I want to enter bus. I want to buy Gary. Imagine now from Aja to VI, to and fro, you pay 700 naira. Basically, even almost 1,000. This is not the Nigeria we dreamed of when we're all clamoring and calling for a supposed savior and saying Buhari is going to come in, is going to change everyone. This is the man that Nigeria needs. This is the president we never had. This is the president we're going to have now. And behold, this is what we have today.
Oh.
Dr. Ideawor.
Yes.
People's changes usually is very difficult. A lot of people will not subscribe to change because it's a hard thing. The process is very hard. Don't you think it's because of this knotty problem that has been there before is making this government to be a little bit slower than to what we anticipated?
Well, I mean, I think that let us look at the challenges that we face as a country, Nigeria faces, you know, and really analyze the situation, matter of fact. One, during the last regime, oil sold at the highest price it ever sold for, I don't know, I think in Nigeria's history. The price Nigeria was selling her crude oil was right up there. So money was really rolling in, but nothing was saved. That is number one. Number two, even though we were earning so much money from oil, the petrochemical industries were left to decay and die. They were not renovated. They were not brought back to life. And therefore, a huge sum of the money earned was being recycled and handed over to people in the name of subsidy allowance. And people were collecting money by all means possible. Number three, we had a government at that time that specialized in simply collecting money and sharing it among themselves.
Can I come in here?
No, I will give. Let Dr.
See,
okay.
And you know what? You mentioned something about change being difficult. And that is why I said, let us analyze the problem matter of fact. Nigerians got to used to a lifestyle. Definitely not the ordinary folks. The Nigerians who were touching this money got used to a lifestyle of spending on themselves what the country didn't have, the country was not producing. We were living above our means. So, the moment you stop the culture of draining the wealth of the country into few hands and recirculating that all over the place, first of all, things went dry. And how did that happen? A policy that the last government knew was good for Nigeria, the Treasury single account, okay? It was in place. The law was already there. The policy was in place in order to try and mop up all of these wastages and all that, but they never implemented it. This government came in and pulled and implemented that. The first thing that did was this. All the money that was flowing all over the place got mopped up into the government system, which is the proper thing to do. So when you think that one government corporation will have up to 70, 75, 100 accounts, how on earth are you going to be able to monitor the income coming into government pots. Now, let us come to the APC government. And I think that the president himself made this point clear, that having sat down and assessed what he found, it was beyond him. It was something that if he had known, he probably would have been scared to contest. How much he made known? Things were terrible by the time the APC came in. Now, does that mean that I, who campaigned for APC and who is the chairman of APC in the UK, I am exceedingly happy and I'm full of joy that our government has done extremely well? The answer is no. I am not happy that this is what we are able to achieve. I believe that we could have done more.
We could have done better.
We could have done better. I totally agree.
Yeah.
So that I am not going to argue with any person. The reasons why we have not performed as well we could have done is what I always say to people. I believe that the benevolent nature of our president, okay, is responsible for this. Because how does a political party in a multi-party democracy take over government and leave members of the opposition who are in government and in offices? How do you leave them in place and you expect to succeed? Our president did that. That's one key reason. So
are you saying these people that do not share the same vision and mission?
Absolutely. You have a huge number of PDP members, okay, running the government, and the president not willing to clean the audience table. And that is the point that Colonel Hamid Ali was alluded to. That the government... That
was the first chief of staff to
the president.
Yeah.
Okay? That up to 50% of people serving in this government are PDP people. And people say don't blame us. But they know. They know that most of the government parastatal is still occupied by them. That, in my opinion, as a member of the APC, and as a leader of the APC in this country, I find that untenable. I don't accept that because I find it unacceptable. Because the moment you come in, you clean the system. The people who believe in the ideology of APC as a political party should be the people implementing our vision and our campaign manifesto.
And the manifesto, yeah.
That is at the heart of the problem that we're having.
Now, Rose, are you saying that this government that have created so many millionaires? What exactly is your problem? What exactly is, what are you?
Do I have a problem?
What exactly are you?
See, let me explain something to you. You know, from what Dr. Ideawor said, I'm happy that Dr. Ideawor, via agriculture, it is commendable. You understand? Since when he talked, no, that's the only thing I keep seeing in the news, that we are improving in that aspect, that a certain factory in Thailand has closed down because Nigerians are no longer importing rice from them.
Okay.
Yes.
You have a Kebi.
Yes. So if it's the rice thing, we appreciate.
Stable.
No. We appreciate that. That is trying to tell us, okay, get into agriculture, not the white collar jobs that our parents were pushing us into in the 70s and the 80s. That is why we all found ourselves in the situation we are today because of our misplaced priorities. But you know, like Dr. Ideawor said, it's sad that this government came in without any vision. They were so overwhelmed that maybe they were not even expecting to win, like Trump in America. But you know now, no, wait. There was a clear-cut blueprint, and we heard about the much research that was done and how Governor Fashola sat down with them, and this team did a clear-cut research about how they could turn Nigeria around. I mean, I respect visible leaders like that. We even said a serious government would take care of electricity in the next 6 months. But today, he is there, but look at the situation. But to tell you the truth, maybe he's overwhelmed, his hands are tied, and there are certain things he cannot do. But obviously and largely, if you want to mop up the system and close down all those accounts, it's good, and nobody should have access to the national treasury. We respect that. You understand? But my concern is this: the president is not relating to Nigerians. You know, he has this priest and pauper attitude. He's close to the Tawakalis, Kalas, if I pronounce that well. And
Tawakawas.
then, yes, and he's also Talakawas, and then he's close to the powers that be. You know, the way he is able to translate himself via this too, it's then commendable. But the moment he got into Aso Rock, he shut the doors. Because I was looking forward to a president that, after getting into office, you would stroll in the streets of Nigeria. You will walk into stores. You would talk to people. I mean, look at his campaign. The rebranding and everything seemed to be tailored according to Barack Obama, you know, and then you go in and you're like, it is my entitlement. I sit here.
Is that how you feel?
No, that is what I see.
Oh, I see.
It's not what I feel. It is what it's, I'm sorry, sir. It is what is completely obvious with what he's doing and the people he's surrounding himself with. Number one, when it took him 6 months to appoint his ministers, you know, for me, that was when I gave up on him. I was like, what is the meaning of this? Why would it take you so long to appoint ministers? I mean, this is what you do overnight. This is what was her name? Theresa May did, and immediately Boris Johnson was at the ministry where he was representing. That same day, within 2 hours that he was appointed, he was addressing his people. Why is it taking this guy so long to get this thing done? Okay, you're talking about mopping up and whatever, you're talking about diversifying, you're spending billions in a particular place in the north to get crude oil. Is that what we're talking about? There are several things. Look at how vast our land is. Look at how rich we are. There are things we could exploit. I mean, we could have the world visiting us. If he has vision in turning Nigeria around, we shouldn't be here where we are. Okay, we understand the waste during Jonathan's government. What is funny about it anyway is that the waste was trickling down. People were actually feeling it. But at the end of the day, you mopped up all the sums, which is credible. Then put it where they should, then invest it properly. Not lock it up and you're telling me my foreign reserve is growing and people are starving.
Well, we've been through this before because there used to be a government in Nigeria that's, after leaving, the head of that government was boasting that I left so much money as a reserve. And the same situation where people in Mushi, people in so many parts of the rural part of Nigeria still do not have light, they still do not have good roads, no Medicare, no education, nothing, and so on and so forth. So I can understand that. But I quickly want to leave this area of assessment. We have gotten to a position now in the country where the common vogue, the commonest word that's being used is agitation or restructuring, and you know that it's now like 80–90% of the people in the country, even from the lowest cadre, are now saying we will need to adjust, we need to restructure, we need to change.
Of course.
Things. So, Dr. Ideawor, what's your take? Do you think we genuinely need to restructure, and if so, what do we need to restructure? When should we do, and why should we do that?
Well, I mean, thank you very much, Otunba. First of all, let me say this. I have, for a very, very long time, been a part of the movement calling for the political restructuring of Nigeria. Let's be specific about that. Political restructuring of Nigeria. I've been a part. I was the chairperson for MNR, Movement for National Reformation, UK, under the leadership of the late Chief Atunde Nahoro. Okay. And therefore, I was a founding member and the family chairman for PRONACO. So yeah, so I have been a member of that movement for a very long time and a participant in it. Now the point is this: at the heart, at the foundation of every wrongdoing, corruption, whether you call it economic corruption, nepotism, and all that you have, not just in Nigeria, in most African countries, at the heart of it is the political imbalance of power. That it is skewed, and that is because of the ethnic nature of our politics. So we need to have a political structure that recognizes even the smallest ethnic group within our country, to build a nation out of a multi-ethnic state needs the big tribes or the big ethnic groups recognizing that even the weakest, the smallest ethnic group is important in creating a nation out of a multi-ethnic country. And I think that that is what we have not recognized. That is what we, we have not accepted. The leaders of our country over the years have not accepted this. And I find it weird when I listen to people discussing and trying to put the blame on certain parts of the country. I actually don't accept all of that. I said all of that. I don't accept all of that. Because when power shifts, for instance, from the Hausa Fulani group to the Igbos, how are we sure that they will not behave exactly or even worse to what they are accusing of the Hausa Fulani ethnic group of doing? How are we sure that if power shifts to the Yoruba people, that they will not behave exactly or even worse to what they are accusing the Hausa Fulani of doing? So, we have a situation where you have an ethnic imbalance of power. Therefore, in order for us to begin to go forward, there is a need, firstly, to recognize this fact that Nigeria is a multi-ethnic state. Okay? It's not a tripod, it's multi-ethnic. We need to recognize that. And every Nigerian needs to be able to recognize that. Two, there needs to be a political structure that creates a feeling of ownership amongst all of
everybody should be a stakeholder.
Absolutely, yeah. There should be ownership. If I feel and you feel and she feels that we all have a stake in the Nigerian project, nobody will steal.
That the country belongs to all of us.
All of us. You don't steal what belongs to you. People steal because when they get to the center, which is so overbalanced in terms of power concentration compared to the units, everybody is going there to take their own. And indeed, when you are going there, your own ethnic group or people will call you and tell you it's your turn to go and take your share of the national cake. It is because, evidently, nobody feels that Nigeria belongs to them. So, for me, the most important thing that needs to be looked at critically and carefully is the political restructuring of Nigeria. How do we arrive at that? We will need to do both a knowledge-driven and a pragmatic attitude to resolving our problems. Why do I say that? Knowledge-driven. We need to be able to look at what other multi-ethnic states around the world are practicing. Take Switzerland, for instance. They are multi-ethnic. They live together in peace. All right? So you can look around and begin to say, how have they done it? That is number one. Number two, we need to look at our form of government. Do we need the present presidential form of government that is so extensive and places so much power, whether in the hands of the president, or in the hands of the governor, or in the hands of the chairman of local government? You call your governor executive governor. It's an aberration. Culturally, there is no tribe in Nigeria that has that kind of setup. I mean, I'm sure amongst the Yorubas, where you have Obas and all that, in the palace, the Oba's law or word is not absolute. So the Oba sits and he has prime minister, he has all the people with whom he sits down to make decisions. Okay? It's exactly the same where I come from. We almost, if you like, deify our Oba in Edo land. We deify her. I mean, our Oba. Our Oba is to us like a god. But we have what you
checks and balances.
Democratic monarchy. That is what you have. So you have a prime minister, you know, the ESA, you have the chief priest, you know. All of these are structured, and as you go down the Edo lineages, you begin to find something that you have an age-grade form of leadership. I say, until we're able to deal with the kind of political structure we want for Nigeria, our form of government, okay, we are not going to be able to handle what our challenges are. And therefore, you are going to continue to have economic saboteurs and corrupt people running the show, because everyone is going to the center to take their share of the national cake.
Thank you. Dr. Deo, following your analysis, also want to believe the kind of reappraisal you are suggesting to probably rearrange our thinking of how best Nigeria should be.
Absolutely, we have to do that.
I, as a person, still have this belief that we are the main problem of our we are the main cause of our problem. And that will now take me to Rose.
Yeah.
How well did your father send the recharge card, and how often does he do that? Is your father on salary? Because I get worried. I get seriously worried if somebody called me and said, Otunba, you know what, we have not been paid. I'm sure your daddy must be.
Yes, and I really is a retired police officer, and I really love to respond to what he said. But to tell you the truth, he's always complaining. My daddy complains about it, but to tell you the truth, as a loving daughter, it gives me a lot of joy to send him money. But guess what? Since I send him, I can tell him this, that. I mean, it gives me a lot of joy because he's such a wonderful person. If you give him 5 naira, I'm telling you the truth, it would act as though you gave him $1 million.
Wow.
Yes, so
he's
very appreciative. He's a fantastic person, and he has served Nigeria. He has served 3 presidents, as a matter of fact. And you know, he usually tells us the stories and everything. Some of the things
and he's still not getting his pension regularly.
He doesn't get a pension.
What exactly?
I mean, look at the issue with Maina, you know, and all those things. It's sad. So when I talk about this, it's because talk about Nigeria the way I talk about it, because I am actually really feeling it. And to restructuring, a friend of mine usually say, whenever we argue, we say Nigeria is structured in such a way that it cannot work. And if you look at it, that is what it seems, because a lot of power is concentrated at the center, one. And secondly, the 1999 Constitution.
Is it working?
It is not working because it is the military that puts that constitution together, and it is for the military because they sat in their round table and did that. I think if we need to start and be fair to ourselves, we could go back to the 1963 Constitution, one, and secondly, we could also visit the 2014 confab. You know, the one Goodluck Jonathan did. And today, look at our senators. They all sat there together. They are trying to re-edit the 1999 Constitution. What are those people doing? What are they doing there? We should rewrite another Constitution. If we're not going to go back to the confab, let us all gather together and talk about how to move Nigeria forward. But in putting remaining power in the center, then you have everything central. Education, that is completely bastardized. Because if Nigeria needs to move forward, it has to be decentralized in such a way that each region would then handle their own education.
What do you mean by that? Our children are being fed now these days at school.
Otunba, you don't want us to go there because you can see the video that went viral about what our children are being fed.
We are told that's a sabotage because most children are
propaganda. But let us say
it is not a propaganda, because we've seen another one. There's a woman who said that this is our child's school. She came out. Her face was there. She put her life on the line to come out to speak. You know, one thing about this administration is that they are so good with excuses. They've mastered the act of propaganda in such a way that before anyone speaks, they would have come up with 10 rejoinder. I mean, 10 different kinds of attacks to counter it. So you're telling me that if I say something is wrong, that means I'm trying to look for the downfall of the government. The government should act as one which is responsible, which is concerned about the affairs of the country, who is concerned about that little child in Oshodi, that child in Mushi, or somewhere in the hinterlands in Akure, or in yes. I mean, look at this state. You know, sometimes it makes me cry. I just want to pull my hair down and say, why would someone find himself in an exalted position like Mr. President or whoever we've had as presidents, and in their mansion in Aso Rock, and then you see a picture of a Nigerian child roaming the streets, or the ones in the north that Goodluck Jonathan tried to rehabilitate. I'm not trying to say because I'm not saying Goodluck Jonathan was like, you know, a savior, but at least he made an attempt. If that was a culture, he was trying to at least change things. Why can't we just try and do so much for our people? What is so difficult in this thing?
In fairness to this, the structure of governance, you cannot expect the chairman of a corporation to be at all the nook and crannies of the
No, don't get me wrong.
Now what I'm saying is this:
don't get me wrong,
to the president, the current president, yes, he took his time to.
Otunba, let me explain something to you. I am sorry. What if we have a president? Otunba, please. What if we have someone who's just elected in and he says to them, "Thank you, just the swearing-in ceremony, nothing elaborate. All courtesy people who are coming to tell me Rankadidis, can you please just hold it where you are? This is the things we need to do. Right now, cabinet, this, that. Who is handling education? We don't want to see our children in Jakonde buildings anymore."
You think it's going to work?
It can work because, I'm sorry, let me explain to you. They say before the fish starts getting spoiled, it's the head, Abby. If we have a president who is focused, I will give you an example. When I was at the NTA, Tony Iradia was the DG. We had a DG before Tony Iradia. People walk around, people behave anyhow, but the moment Tony Iradia came in as the DG, everyone was alert. If he's coming, you see nobody in the corridor. If you have a leader who is focused and knows what he's doing, if your leader is just there, and if your leader is just there and you feel he won't mind, Babache will do as much as he wants to do before he decides to sack him.
But were you guys being owed salaries then?
We weren't being owed salaries, we were paid on time. Let me tell you, if we have someone, I mean, of course we know that Tony Iradia is not campaigning, but if we had someone as a Tony Iradia, he was the DG of NOA. Before President Obasanjo says, get the NOA guy to come and be DG. But there were people there who could have been DG. But he came in from NOA, a DG in another parastatal, to come and be a DG in the NTA. And things were done accurately. We were all striving for the highest point of professionalism while he was there. So it boils down, the issue of Nigeria boils down to leadership, a focused one, a right one, who sees himself first as a Nigerian and not somebody and not a Fulani or a Yoruba or someone like from the east. Do you understand? So if we have leadership and then followership, our mindset needs to change as Nigerians. I mean, look at this beautiful country with a lot of intelligent people, and we're still fighting over ourselves and talking about what should not even be considered as issues.
Are you saying, from the elaborate explanation of what you are saying, are you saying if we have a leader, not a father, because I got seriously worried when some people are referring to the president of your country as the father of the country. They're not fathers of the country. But are you saying if we have a leader who can not only raise the bar, who can call it short, but at the same time give orders and say, you know what, I want light, I don't want generator. Take the generator away, and I want all the engineers in this world, especially the Nigerians in Texas and everywhere, bring them on, and then let them supply me light. And those who have, like Raleigh said, wanted, those of you who are in charge of putting water, make sure the water is running within a short. Well, how much does it? Is that what you're saying?
Is that not visible?
Doctor, how do you want to fault? How do you want to fault what she's saying? I've just, say, call the shot and say, I want light and I don't want generator. Don't give me 3 billion for generator in Aso Rock. Do you think it's not going to work?
You see,
I'm asking a question.
Yeah.
Is it not going to work?
Within the present setup in Nigeria, it's not going to work. And I will tell you why. Let me explain. Yeah, it's not going to work. It's one thing for you.
Why are we in government then?
Yeah, no, it's one thing you as president focus, strong, okay, determined, issuing statements. All right? But you have an environment that is completely distorted and on its head. And I'm going to give you an example. Let us look at China, okay, before 1979. You know, when people look at China of today, they think that China was like this 50 years ago, or no. The transformation, the miracle that we see today started just 1979.
Yeah.
With Deng Xiaoping. All right? And what did he do? He was already in a political environment that had a structure. The Communist Party has a structure. Okay? Therefore, it was easy, or it's easy, to ensure that you began to send your ideas and thoughts and begin to push them through the country, and also within the Communist Party begin to ensure that the leaders who emerge, who take charge of the country, are following your set purpose. Look, we are in a country where...
You just said it. Yeah, that's it. You need to make sure.
Yeah, that is why I say that, you see, in Nigeria as structured today, that is why I say it is not possible. And I alluded to this earlier. Look, I'm a member of the APC. All right? I belong to the APC. My desire, my dream, my vision, my passion is to see APC as a political party grow and become an institution with a strong, clearly identifiable ideology. So you cannot come into the party and begin to bring in false teaching or false ideology or false things that are not in line, in tune with the party's focus. And you cannot serve in an APC government if you are not a member of APC. If you have not been
don't share the same vision.
Exactly. If you have not been schooled in the thinking and the ideology of APC.
Right.
I can say this to us. If this government was peopled by at least 70-80% of people who campaign, who believe in the philosophy and ideology and manifesto of APC, a good number of the stuff we are talking about now will not happen. The people still in offices are people who do not hold the views that you hold.
Right.
But where does that fall? I'm sorry, Otunba. Where does that fall? Whose fault is it?
Exactly. I wanted to say that. I mean, I'm not making an opinion here. I just want to quickly say I will not, if I had to be sitting down there, not anchoring this program. I probably will say, when you buy a house, or when you buy a property, or when you start a business, or when you are managing an organization, and the first thing you come to find out that there's certain structure, the way things are put together are just not going to be favorable, they're just not going to make you shine, it's not going to work. I think the word we are looking for should be start the structuring and let the people you inherit or you buy together in the business, to let you know that here is a new man, Dr. Ideawor, is going to restructure because we don't like what was happening. But then again, we have to leave it for another day discussion. And I quickly want to move on because of time. Road to 2009. Say, Rose, with experience with what I don't want to use the word that you are angry, but you are saying the obvious. You telling us what happened, and you do not like what happened. Well, judging from the way things are, what do you think about 2019? What do you think it should happen?
You know,
I just want to give you 1 minute.
Very, very quickly. In 2015, Nigerians realized they have a voice, they have the card, they can vote. Their numbers count. And they rightly utilized it. Yes. They rightly utilized it. In 2019, I am pleading with Nigerians, don't vote via sentiment, religious, ethnic, whatever. Just put it aside. Just vote in the right people. And then when you see all these politicians who are still there. The other day I was asking about Jeremiah Oseni, and I heard this in the Senate. I'm like, what? Are you serious? You know, so don't look forward to putting such people back in there. How much are they going to pay you? They've been there and they are ruining our future, and their lives are getting better. So for you, look for somebody credible in your community and start supporting or pushing the person. And in such a way, if we do that in our various communities, we will not have these people lording themselves over us and still ruining our nation the way they've been doing for years.
Well, 1 minute. How do you want to suggest, or what suggestion do you have for Nigerians for 2019? Because 2019 is just around the corner.
I mean, I completely agree with Rose that we need to have the emergence of a new
order,
a new group of leaders. We've had enough of the old hands.
Recycling? You want us to continue recycling? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Oh, not to recycle again.
I think that we've had enough of the old hands. They've done their best, they've done their bit. I think that if all these years they have not been able to mentor, train, and produce younger people who can take the country forward, people who are living in the 21st century, people who are in tune with current development. They are children that they have trained outside, who are exposed to what the world order is. If they have not been able to produce those kind of leaders for our country, I think that they should.
We should do. I mean, Nigerians should do away with them.
Nigeria, we should.
Final one, which is within under 1 minute. Yeah. One of you, please, tell me, what's the advantage of independent candidacy? Is that going to bring any change?
Would that work?
Well, for me, I personally do not think. Okay, it is good in a democracy, but I believe that at this stage of our development, we need to focus on building strong political parties. Parties that can educate, socialize, and discipline, and bring out leaders that have prepared for leadership. I think that political parties are key to what comes of Nigeria.
Do you have the same? Do you share the same?
With the
opinion?
last election, nothing is impossible. Absolutely
I'm
nothing.
talking about the independent.
So that's I'm going back there.
Yeah.
So independent candidates, we could work at it, and INEC needs to support this. Because if INEC comes and gives a humongous amount and say you have your ticket is 28 million naira, or you have to pay to get registered, or to get yeah, I mean that's it itself could discourage anyone. But I believe that Nigerians can put themselves together and sponsor one person and say, we want this person, we do not want them on any political platform. This person can go out, and we could start deciding our future.
I want to thank you, lady and gentleman. I appreciate your coming. I've no doubt in my mind that people who are viewing this program, they probably will be going to bed tonight happy. At least they had the opinion, not even the opinion, the statements made by people who at one time did everything possible to see the emergence of the ruling party, and now it's now getting to a stage where they now think otherwise. And I want to thank everybody tuning in, and hopefully by the time I come back again next week, another Tuesday, I'll be coming with another guest, another topics that are going to be very, very relevant to our polity, our country. And till then, I want to say thank you very much for viewing. This is OtunbaHOO on one-on-one. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Heritage Television. Promoting African culture and heritage at its best. From talk shows that concern you to both local and international news that relates to you. From grassroots football to African children's programs. Heritage Television. We cover your social and special events like weddings, birthdays, church anniversaries, and so on, and broadcast them live on our apps and online. Heritage Television, broadcasting everything about culture and heritage. Heritage Television. We've got it covered. Do download our apps on both Android, iOS, and Windows mobile platform. Heritage Television, your very own TV station.